about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Back on Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So as expected, President Donald Trump was snubbed for the Nobel Peace Prize again. And he was nominated by multiple individuals for his work in bringing peace to the Middle East, in ending the Hamas-Israel war, working to get the hostages back, and as well as other wars. And, you know, the snub has been extremely, extremely controversial. The winner is deserving. The winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize, pretty admirable. It's Maria Corina Machado, a key opposition leader in Venezuela. She was awarded. She's a 58-year-old industrial engineer. She apparently lives in hiding in Venezuela. According to Al Jazeera, was blocked by courts from running for president against President Nicolas Maduro in the 2024 elections. So according to the Norwegian Nobel Committee, she is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. So now I kind of had a feeling that Trump wasn't going to get it when the president of Norway was talking to Trump, and in a press conference, they were asking him about nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize, and he kind of stopped short. So we knew that you know, something was up and he wasn't going to be nominated. And we know Trump really kind of wanted this. You know, he says it wasn't a big deal, but I think it was because his first presidency, so much of that got erased and reversed, and history and you know, the websites, you know, underemphasized some things, overemphasized others, and so a Nobel Peace Prize kind of put something in the history books. And so Trump not getting it, you know, obviously is a point of contention, and many people are pretty frustrated with the Nobel Peace Prize. Obama had won it in 2009, right after he was elected. The reasoning they gave for Obama to win it was for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between people. And so, I mean, it's a nice award, but where did this all start? So Swedish inventor and businessman Alfred Nobel started this, I think, back in 1895. He had a lot of money. And so he wanted his money to go to individuals that foster fraternity between nations, bring about peace. It could also be for those who, help mankind, physics, chemistry, physiology, medicine, literature, and peace. So there's the Physics Nobel Peace Prize, chemistry, medicine, etc. And the purpose, they say, in his will, is the Peace Prize intended to recognize individuals who worked for fraternity between nations, for the abolition or reduction of standing armies, and for the holding and promotion of peace congresses. And so executors, after he died in 1996, kind of faced some challenges, but they still were able to establish this prize. And the first Nobel Prize was awarded in 1901 and in Christiania, which is now Oslo, Norway. And so those who make significant, for the Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize, those who make significant contributions in peace, bringing nations together, standing down armies, are up for the Venezuelan nominee Maria Machado, very deserving. But obviously people are like, okay, wait a second, this is obvious. They don't like Trump. Here's the thing. I just want results. I want the hostages home. The hostages are not home yet. But Trump has done what no other president has done, and it's huge. If he could also stop the Ukraine war, the Russia-Ukraine war, Godspeed. Dismantling Iran and reducing our threats of nuclear arms. In the Middle East. I mean, there's so many things that I think Trump gets credit for. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, the true heroes, people don't really know that they're the ones doing the work, and you know, they don't always get the credit they deserve. I just want the hostages home. I don't care about prizes. I think, somebody like Trump, he's already, awarded the presidency. He's already getting accolades and for doing what he's doing. Machado getting the Nobel Peace Prize award. She's deserving. It's a beautiful award. It's a beautiful moment for her. I don't want that taken away. But what's obvious is the world's disdain, for Trump. Now, people did not want him to succeed. And I don't understand that, because you have hostages, you have people's lives at stake. And I want work done in Nigeria to get the Christians, from being murdered. I mean, there's so many atrocities happening, across the globe that I am hoping that what happened here with the leaders coming together, Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Israel, coming together, historic, seeing something like that come together. Hopefully it tells other people, look, peace is always better than war. I know a lot of countries don't like Israel, and they've made that obvious throughout the centuries. But the countries that are at peace with Israel do better, and they acknowledge that, and they do very well. And so, the Trump being able to get other countries to stand up and give a damn, and that's kind of what was needed. A lot of countries don't want to stand up and say, I want to help Israel, publicly. But if Trump comes in going, well, you're working with me to make this happen, then they feel like they, can save face. That's how anti-Semitic and ridiculous, so much of what has gone on is occurring. So the hostages now, we're being told, so the ceasefire is in place. Hamas has 72 hours after the ceasefire to release the hostages. So if the ceasefire ends Israel time by Friday, then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which would then be, then let me see, because it's already Saturday there. So, or it's about to be Saturday. That's why they're looking at the hostages coming home by Tuesday. They don't think Hamas is going to be early about it. They think they're going to drag it out to the last minute. I'm a little nervous because we are assuming we have 20 who are still alive. Hamas has agreed to send home the live hostages as well as the dead ones. I just hope they don't make any more dead. Let's pray these hostages get home as quickly as possible. Congratulations to Trump, Qatar, Saudi Arabia leaders, Israel leaders, Egypt for making this happen. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So, these articles that will, bring up, doctors saying these are things that I would never eat or I would never touch. They really hit home, and they're not clickbait. So when I hear that a cardiologist is like, no, I would not touch these foods at all. I would not go anywhere near, you listen because they see page. I mean, one of the reasons why people listen to my show is because I don't just talk about, the Dallas Cowboys, which, I hopefully will be able to soon because they are having a better year, if you notice. But, yeah, but, I've had experience with patients, and I could tell you what I see on a daily basis. And so we're seeing a trend of what doctors are trying to speak out about to patients. And it's the same thing over and over again, but it's definitely worth talking about again and to remind us, because for some of us, this was, the whole breakfast of some of us. It's, what we ate for breakfast. So we have a cardiologist that says there are the following foods that they would avoid anybody eating because of what it could do to your heart. They've seen multiple heart attacks. They would, recommend you avoid these. First and foremost are sugary cereals. The sugary cereals are deadly. I look at sugary cereals as poison. Do I like having sugary cereals? Yeah, I do. Now, I think they're kind of yummy. I sometimes need it, for the little bit of fiber. But unfortunately, it doesn't do anything for your health. I understand these boxes say, look, you have 9 essential nutrients. You have fiber. There's better ways to get it. Cardiologist Dr. Sanjay Boraj for CNBC has the 9 American foods you quote-unquote couldn't pay me to eat. He says, stay away from these sugary breakfast cereals. Eat instead steel-cut oats with berries and cinnamon, real fiber, antioxidants, and stable energy. Processed deli meats is second on his list. I will, and this is my thing, because I love deli. Right? Jewish deli is one of my favorite genres of food. I'm thinking I'm not going to have a burger. I'm not going to have a burger and fries. I'm going to have a sandwich. Put some lettuce and tomato on it. There'll be some whole wheat bread or rye bread, non-white bread. And so I'm thinking, now I'm still making something healthier, but the processed deli meat, no. The nitrates, the preservatives into them, they could convert to or carcinogenic compounds. They could increase your risk of colon cancer, also affect your arteries. They recommend to roast your own turkey, roast your own chicken breast, and then slice it because it's fresh. That's not that hard to do. A lot of us can get those foods at the grocery store, heat it up, set it up for the week. And that's the thing, too. It's convenience. I can't tell you how many times I buy food and then we never touch it. We never, because you got to prepare it first. You really need to spend time, especially for your body. I mean, look at what we do for our cars. You should really spend time preparing your foods, putting them in, containers. I don't want to say plastic containers, but, having them designed for meals, labeled. Usually they'll stay fresh a few days, and try to do it with as little preservatives. Soda and energy drinks. He said you couldn't pay him to take. They spike your blood sugar. They overwork your adrenals, he says. They flood our body with inflammatory compounds, and the diet versions are often worse because the artificial sweeteners affect our gut microbiome. There's been another study that came out, liver disease increases precipitously for those people that drink just one Diet Coke or sugary drink, fizzy drink a day. These are things we have to avoid. We got to drink more water. He recommends sparkling water with lemon or herbal iced tea. He will never eat deep-fried fast foods or carnival snacks. Corn dogs, funnel cake, French fries. Not to mention, you need to be careful because the industrial seed oils oxidize at high temperatures. And then you could get potentially toxic byproducts like acrylamide. These are things that could cause cancer. And they can embed in our artery walls, promoting plaque buildup, causing hypertension, stroke, heart attacks. So they recommend oven-baked options using olive or avocado oil. He says he will never eat white bread or refined carbs. Now, I avoid white bread. I love white bread. Wonder White. Gosh, that was delicious. But it's sugar. It turns to sugar. So if you don't have fiber, minerals, and nutrients, you're eating food that acts like sugar. Some of the quote-unquote multi-grain, you still need to watch. You still need to see what salt is in those breads. They break down quickly, spiking glucose, causing sugar crashes, fat shortage, storage, insulin resistance. So he recommends to eat 100% whole grain or sprouted grain bread instead. I avoid margarine and fake butter spreads. I actually ask for butter. I don't use a lot of butter. But you don't want trans fats. These are chemically engineered to extend shelf life. I don't even like the taste. They raise bad LDL, cholesterol, lower your good HDL, cause arterial clogging, lack of compliance, and it could affect your endothelial lining of your blood vessels. So he recommends use grass-fed butter or extra virgin olive oil. Now, I have never seen butter fed grass. My guess is these are cows that are grass-fed and butter from those cow milk, but grass-fed butter. The highly processed plant-based meats. This is something I just don't embrace in my diet. Meat substitutes, I just don't know what's in them. They got sodium, synthetic additives like methyl cellulose, soy protein, according to CNBC and this doctor, ultra processed components to it to try to make it taste like meat. I'd almost rather you just eat the meat. But if you really are, if you're a vegetarian or if you're vegan and you want to avoid meat entirely, he recommends lentils, beans, and minimally processed tofu. Now, a lot of us will try to lose weight, try to minimize a very high caloric and fattening dinner by eating a cup of soup. And the cup of soup dinner has been very effective for people trying to lose weight. I'll just have a little bit of soup. The thing is I did that the other night. I had top ramen because I had some dental work done, and all I could really tolerate was some soup. And I didn't want the soup part of it because it felt too salty, and so I ate a lot of the noodles. Well, were the noodles really nutritious? No. So a single cup of soup contains 80 to 100% of your daily sodium limit. Sodium raises blood pressure, can hurt the kidneys, put you at risk for heart failure. And so reconsider the salty soup. You can make your own soup with fresh vegetables, herbs, a little sea salt if you need, he recommends. But that's definitely something, you should be aware of. I don't drink coffee, but when I have, and I've been in the teacher's lounge or the lounges, and there is a flavored vanilla creamer, I grab it. I'm like, that tastes good. Don't. The hydrogenated oils, artificial flavors, added sugar, that's not healthy. And so, instead they recommend unsweetened almond or oat milk, maybe put a little cinnamon or vanilla extract. But there's ways you can make your food taste better. A little bit of honey. If you really want something sweet, add a little bit of honey. One thing that I like to do is I like to get frozen berries from Costco or Sam's Club or the grocery store, stick them in the freezer. And then when you grab the frozen berry, it's like you're eating ice cream. Now, I'm not a big ice cream fan. I don't like cold on my teeth. But I feel like I'm eating dessert, and it's a piece of fruit. And I eat less. Because you could eat a whole bunch of fruit and increase your caloric load and sugar load and glycemic index. So to limit your sugar, one way to do that is to, limit the amount you're eating. And, we have to find tricks, and we have to find sustainable tricks. We can't just eat like crap and then hope that our Ozempic Wegovy, Zepbound, Manjaro solves the weight problem. Because, again, our artery clogging. We all die of something. We just don't want to die too early. And many of us have severe artery clogging or inflammation or kidney disease. So consider alternatives. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So great news coming out of California. Governor Gavin Newsom has signed one of the first in the nation laws to phase out ultra-processed food from California school lunches. This is a law banning dangerous food dyes and chemicals in the school meals. He signed AB 1264, and this was a bipartisan first in the nation law, providing a statutory definition of ultra-processed foods, and it's going to phase out, they say, the most concerning ultra-processed foods from school meals in California. They say, according to his website, it is based on simple common sense idea that schools should not serve students products, yes, that can harm their health or interfere with the ability to learn. Now, California was one of the first states to be more proactive regarding chemicals in food. So even though RFK Jr. is getting a lot of credit for now getting the nation in gear in terms of, and getting on big food to, start reducing food additives. This started, years ago in California, where they wanted products to be transparent about what, byproducts they could have, or if something could be carcinogenic, etc. I just don't know why it took this long, and why, again, only California to be banning these products in food. Now, maybe the reason why is it's very easy to say we are not going to be feeding our kids foods with chemicals and preservatives in them. Yay, that's a great thing. All right. Way to go, Dr. Daliah, run for president. Easy to say, but not easy to do. The sloppy Joe. There's preservatives in the meat. There's preservatives in the sauce. It comes on bread. If they serve the fish sticks or the chicken or if somebody made a law before things were already started to be in the works, these kids wouldn't get anything. You couldn't feed them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because the ultra-processed white bread. I mean, it has to be whole grain, like we just spoke about. Deli meats, but margarine. There's so many things that are ultra-processed. And so I love that California is being proactive with this. They have spearheaded a lot of this in terms of health. So they say Californians are working to promote healthier school food, or healthier school food. They say it long predates the Make America Healthy Again, and he's not wrong about that. And Governor Newsom signed an executive order in January directing state agencies to recommend potential actions to limit the harms associated with ultra-processed foods and food ingredients that pose a health risk to individuals. And this bill aligns with the executive order. So he previously signed a law, I think, back in 2023 about harmful food additives like red dye 3, brominated vegetable oil, which is used as a stabilizer in citrus-flavored beverages, prohibiting schools from serving and selling foods containing synthetic food dye additives associated with risks to health harms in children, including cancer, damage to the immune system, and neurobehavioral disorders. And then in 2024, Governor Newsom signed a legislative package to increase enrollment in state food assistance programs, reduce your consumption of processed foods, and increase access to healthy, locally grown food in California communities. Then they said this summer, more than 4 million California children received Sunbucks food benefits via EBT cards, with each eligible child receiving $120 in food benefits. Now, I'm not sure if California has already banned, because you would think they would ban from their food stamps junk food. So junk food and soda pop should not be on the food stamps. So I'm assuming, because they've been spearheading things, they would be doing that. I am such a fan of bipartisan, common sense legislation. I mean, this is huge. This is overdue. This should have been done years ago. Very, very glad that they've been working on this, and we've been commending them on that. There's still the politics. I don't really see, Governor Gavin Newsom and Trump and RFK Jr. necessarily standing shoulder to shoulder, trying to implement better policies across the nation with them working together. But I got to tell you, it's possible. It really is possible. The thing that I've noticed, being in my, wise, seasoned age of 29 years old, I've seen that many Democrats and Republicans really agree on the same thing. They want low crime. They want a secure border. They want a strong economy. They don't want to be screwed over by other countries, where we're paying more than other countries. They want the environment protected. They want us to preserve, the beautiful trees and the beautiful landmarks that we have. They want us to, offer asylum to people who need, to come to America and become legal citizens. And they want a good, strong legal immigration process. The Democrats and Republicans really agree on a lot. The moderates do. And there's just so much common sense. But unfortunately, the media really, really wants to drive people as enemies. I mean, I'm watching the news here, and you're going to see people rip on Governor Newsom. You're seeing people rip on President Trump. I'm watching, I watch all the news outlets, MSNBC, CNN. Nobody. You see where Fox News is talking about the hostages coming home, peace in the Middle East. Trump's accomplishments. And you're not seeing it covered much on the other stations. Come on, people, really. Just like with this, Governor Gavin Newsom, this is huge. Let's make school lunches healthy again. That's huge. But are we seeing it? And this is why we need a news source that's not Republican or Democrat. We need a news source that is middle of the road, nonpartisan, neutral. Just give us news. And keep your commentary. You could do that with the night shows or like the morning shows like The View and all that. But just during the day, please give us the gosh darn news. That's all we want. Now, how is this going to happen? If the average food has dyes and ultra-processed food, and Michelle Obama, spearheaded this lunch program to make sure that kids were eating healthier lunches. Now, what happened, though, is people were throwing the food away. We saw garbage cans of food that was just wasted. The kids didn't like the taste. Well, we have created a society with big food that has made food, you have to like your food. It has to appeal to you by color, by sound, snap, crackle, pop, by the brilliance where you could see Skittles from space, where it glows like Mountain Dew, so you feel like you're an alien drinking it. I mean, we train society to think, well, if it's over the counter and you can buy it, it's safe. And no, you're not supposed to eat because something tastes good. You're supposed to eat to live. You aren't supposed to live to eat. Those who eat to live, are don't have obesity and a lot of these other health issues. But those that live to eat go, oh, I can't wait. We're going to do this. We're going to do, and mind you, look, a good family dinner I get is wonderful. I can't wait for Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah. I get it. Family dinners, a lot of fun, a lot of good food, and trust me, I love tasty food. But why are we so dependent on our sugar and our salt? Why are we drinking soda, energy drinks? I don't have any water nearby. You're supposed to be drinking water, milk, not unsweetened fruit juice, eating vegetables. If you really need something buttery, take some avocado and smear it, on whatever you're eating. I mean, there's ways to do things that are healthier. But now, how do you do that with school lunches? When the food has to be stored, when the food has to be shipped. The reason why processed foods came about is because when we went from farm fresh to table, what did you do during the Industrial Revolution with people, working in the city? And not needing to grab something to take. We had to come up with ways to salt cure, keep our foods fresh. And to keep our foods fresh, unfortunately, it involves packaging with wax and plastic and, pesticides and all that. So we built this mess. But good for California, and I hope the other states follow. 1-877.com.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So we're going into day 10, I think, or we're in day 10 of this government shutdown. I think it is appropriately called the Schumer shutdown. You have the bill. The Republicans didn't change it, from what I understand at all, from the previous bills that the Democrats approved. Just a continuing resolution. Let's just, renew the funding, keep the government going. And Democrats want to use this as an opportunity to negotiate things as it pertains to health care and mind you, wanting to negotiate and wanting to bring up important legislation. It's an important topic, but you don't have to hold the country hostage to do that. There could be a completely we have sessions, we have other ways to bring up things that need to be, addressed. If it does pertain to Obamacare or illegal aliens getting health care coverage or whatever they're trying to address. But unfortunately, we are starting to see delays as in flight. We're starting to see delays with IRS. We're starting to see delays with tax refunds. Nobody nobody wants the extra IRS agents, doing what we think Biden wanted them to do. But in terms of refunds, we all want our refunds soon. And now we are seeing that 658,000 federal workers that are supposed to be getting paid are not getting their full checks because of the shutdown. And, if the average person is living paycheck to paycheck, especially many of our military men and women, your paycheck doesn't cover. What do you do about the rent? You cannot, ask your landlord can you hold off charging me rent? We're in a lockdown or a shutdown. Now, usually the shutdowns don't last this long. We've had some that have lasted longer. And the furloughed workers get back pay. And those individuals who do have money, that can kind of survive the storm, they're liking it. They're getting a nice paid vacation. But for those individuals who know I got bills to pay, I got, especially as we're starting to come into the holidays, there's, it's not easy. Medications, this is already beyond too long. Really, day 10. So, Obamacare and Obamacare is going to need a lot more fixing than a session during a CR vote to address. All right, Obamacare destroyed healthcare. They said we could keep our doctor. They said it was going to make healthcare affordable for all. It has been an absolute disaster. And the more the insurance companies raise their rates, the more we taxpayers are paying. And we're running out of money. It's not feasible. And we have individuals who really need government help as it pertains to healthcare. This is why the Medicaid work requirements are so important. If somebody is able-bodied and doesn't have kids, is not sick, and is like the Tsarnaev brother who bombed during the Boston Marathon bombing, who was strapping and boxing and full of muscles, really getting Medicaid, getting government assistance. When you have somebody that can work, they need to work. We can't be supporting them because it takes away from people who can't work. If somebody came into this country legally and they did all the processes and they apply for government aid, they get that because they were here legally. But to push them aside because somebody else came here illegally, it's not working. Now, I know there's been some debate where, could the White House, prevent the White House does not want to tick off government workers. I mean, they ticked them off enough with the layoffs, but these workers did not choose for this lockdown to happen. Okay, this isn't on them. One concern that I think Trump had, which a lot of people have, is for those individuals who are utilizing this as a paid vacation, they may not be incentivized to reach out to their senators saying, come on, man, hey, just approve this. I need to work. Some are. Those who need their money and need their paychecks are. And so Trump had insinuated, look, if you think, the money's guaranteed, now it's not. It actually is. The 2019 law that did protect individuals during the previous lockdown did say that government workers will get back pay immediately. Retroactive pay will be provided on the earliest day possible. Why there's some debate is people are saying, well, that's only for 2019. No. It's a law that will, help everybody. USAA is a lender that caters to military veterans. This is being reported by Business Insider. We're hearing USAA is offering interest-free loans equivalent to the paychecks of impacted federal workers. The bank approved and funded $85 million for roughly 23,000 loans during the first 24 hours of the program. It was open, and Navy Federal Credit Union is also offering a similar program. Maryland Department of Labor has recently launched federal shutdown loan program and has already received more than 300 applications. So, people are hurting. This really cannot go on much longer. It's beyond ridiculous. And Schumer has already admitted that the longer the shutdown goes, the better it is for them. And we predicted this. We spoke about this last week, saying if they want something to go into the midterms, saying, well, look at what happened with the Republicans, because they don't really have a lot to critique them on. And so for them to say, look at how when the Republicans were in power, we were shut down for a month. So, yeah, the Democrats think they have nothing to lose unless their constituents speak out and say, are you kidding me? Now, the problem is some polls are coming out saying that people feel it's the Republican fault. So when Democrats see that, they go, well, no wonder. Okay, then it looks like it's working. Let's keep this closed as long as possible so it looks like it's the Republicans' fault. Well, the Republicans are voting for it. We look at the law. We see the law. We see that it's the same law that the Democrats approved. It's not, blaming Republicans. I don't really think that's going to be a viable strategy. And, Speaker Johnson keeps going out there saying, look, guys, here's the law. I'm frustrated. We voted for it. The Republicans voted for it. I'm seeing media outlets saying Republican-controlled Senate fails to reopen the government. Listen, we have bipartisan, laws and checks and balances in these. The Democrats have to agree to reopen the government. And if they don't, we're screwed. And, it's plain and simple as that. You could see who voted to reopen the government. But Democrats are saying, no, the government cannot be reopened until we have all of these other things addressed. And I get, from a Democratic strategy standpoint, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Try to use an opportunity. They don't really have a lot of opportunities with the Republican-run executive branch, legislative branch, and I disagree that any sort of judicial branch should be right or left, but unfortunately it seems that way. We shouldn't have right or left-leaning judges. It should all be neutral. But they feel that they don't have control of the House, Senate, executive branch. They're like, we have a very small window of opportunity to get what we want, and let's just take this as an advantage. And Schumer's leading this. Schumer needs to be out of office. This isn't about. This shouldn't be about politics. All right, we got a lot going on right now. A lot going on. We have troops going to the Middle East to ensure that Middle East peace happens. Okay, we need to make sure our military is funded. We need to make sure people are getting their benefits. We need to make sure Medicare. Everything is getting. Nothing is. It was hard enough getting people to come back to work. It was really hard to get people to come back to work. We got people to come back to work, and now we furlough them. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science. It's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.